Hi there, I'm Adam Kibas and this is my novel, Night Out. I leave the warehouse where Stolt, malign, and this fellow far-right campaigners had held a speech. Donna Fauna, the twin sister Valley, glares at me, speechless. She is found in stupor. I know that this is going to get weird and even dangerous, so it is smarter to leave there. It is warehouse I'm all alone. I rethink the funeral, the people I met there, the emotions I saw there. And my head and my thoughts circle around one black man. He was the only black man who attended the funeral of Ellie Fauna, and he wept. He wept passionately. He wept as someone who has lost someone. I make some inquiries into this stranger, and I find out that his name is Dwayne Brightly. He is not in our police system, neither does he have a criminal record, and he does not work for the undertaker. So he was there by choice, and maybe he knew Ellie. Dwayne Brightly sits in front of me. I asked an officer to bring him in to interrogate him. He seems very comfortable, but additionally, he is very uneasy. Blacks are afraid of the police. There are a lot of things going on. Everyone knows about it, so they are cautious, hesitant, try to pretend that they would not be afraid, that they would be the master of their situation. Well, this is pretty much normal. Normal if someone thinks that in a society, either way he is cornered, either way he will be left worse off. The only thing you could do, the only thing they can help themselves with is to pretend that they cannot be fooled around. So there is some duplicity in his manner. In one hand, he's of course frightful. He's a black man who has been caught by the police and brought into interrogate. But on the other hand, he wants to be strong. He wants to pretend that he's strong. Either to make one's self believe that society or the people who are responsible for this, that they cannot do this with you. At least they cannot do this with you lightly. Just bring you in or just treat you how they want to treat you, without due process or whatever. And of course there's fear. One that is palpable. I asked him why he was at the funeral. He knew Ellie. He tells me he knew Ellie. Knew how. What was the cause and the nature of your relationship. We were just friends. Somehow I detect the lie, because friends do not weep for each other in that manner. And given that he was the only black man, it's not likely that Ellie probably had a lot of black friends. The college she went through was it was not an elite college, at least not one of the top. However, it was a selected few, and it was not a college which was frequently attended by black students. So it is unlikely that Ellie had a lot of black friends. And he went there alone. He, even though, could have come with his family if this would have been just a mere acquaintance. But this was something one thinks of as someone who wants to keep things quiet, secret. There are things you don't want to talk about, and you don't want your family or friends know about it, and you don't weep a lot. I ask him where he works, and he tells me that he works as a cashier in a fast food restaurant. So, how did you meet Ellie? I met her when she came in with some friends into the fast food restaurant I'm working at. We talked. She's a nice girl. She was a nice girl. He corrects himself as if he still cannot believe that she is dead. And again I see her. I see that he is stifling his tears. And it was more than just a mere acquaintance. And he continues, we just hanged out for a while. I tell him she was murdered. She was murdered, and you were just friends. I leave those two words, those two suggestions in air. I want him to make the connection. Murder, death, and friend. So, again, I try to play on his fears. What do you think the police will assume? You, a black man, and there is a dead white girl. Well, I think I don't have to continue to make one understand what this means. So it's better to come forward with the truth. And now I look at him. I stare at him. Try to stare him down. Try to stare him down as the white man I am. I want him to understand that this issue is serious. Serious, and there are. Sadly enough, there are a lot. And let's hope it will clear up. But there are black men who sit behind bars wrongly. He could be one of them. He's thinking, he's pondering, he's struggling with his thoughts. I see he's fidgeting. She's dead. I repeat myself, not in order to frighten him again. No, this is to make a fact. State the obvious. She's dead. No social prejudice. No anything. No any demand for behavior, what one should do and what one should not do exists anymore. No social etiquette could be maintained anymore. The girl is dead. So what is this all about? After a while, he thinks, and then he answers me. He tells me that they were more than friends. She was your girlfriend, wasn't she? I ask him. Yes, he admits. And I see tears running down his cheeks. He loved her. This is obvious. Loved her so much that he got rid of her. I ask myself, how did you meet? We met in college. This answer strikes me because he is a cashier in a fast food chain. And I wonder, people talk about blacks struggling in the job market. If you are a black student, how far can you get in a society even though you have a college degree? He tells me that he did not attend college. I wasn't eligible, like I didn't have the means to go to college. He says in sadness and disappointment. He could not partake in everything. He could not partake what young folks in a society ought to be doing, not to go to college per se, but to make an effort or strive for greatness, strive for everything that could enable them to accomplish greatness, even though it might be dead, even though the American dream might be dead, yet people still strive for, still cannot bury this dream. Dwayne tells me that it was one of those workshops he was invited to in college. White students and white teachers in college make some workshops like Black Experience. And in these workshops, blacks outside of college, oddly enough, so not black college students, but blacks who do not attend college, who have apparently even not even higher education or whatsoever, they are invited into these workshops to talk about their experiences, black experiences, their experiences as blacks in the American society. And Dwayne and some others attended one of these workshops. Dwayne tells me, I actually don't know why I attend these workshops, why I attended these workshops. I only attended them a couple of times. I felt stupid. We were the only blacks, and opposite of us were only white folks. And they brought us in, and they would stare at us. They would stare at us in wonder and stupor, as if we would be an attraction in a zoo or something like that. It was weird. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't want to be there. And even though we were present, even though we were there, those white folks, they talked about us as if we wouldn't be there, as if we would be the only and white, the only black folks they had ever met. Like we would be an attraction, even to entertain them. I hated it. I really hated it. Some of us who went there enjoyed it. They got attention. The attention they were missing out of the society. Out there where other white folks look at them with contempt. But this wasn't bad either. Some privileged white folks in college admire you because they think that you are a circus attraction or whatsoever. So on one of those days, I just walked out. I couldn't bear it anymore. I felt like that I'm just some random guy. And I felt insulted and even humiliated. I know you shouldn't say that because because everyone says that they want to help you. This is what they told us when they invited us to these workshops to talk about our black experiences. They told us they want to help you. They want to help you to be heard, that you and your story can get out of there, can get out on the streets, can be known. But it all felt weird. It all felt not real. It all felt like we would please white folks. And in the end, you could see you could not change them at all. They didn't care about what we wanna tell them. They had already set up their mind, made up their mind. And when we were in those workshops, they even interpreted our experiences. They said they wanna straighten them out a little bit. So these are our experiences we have as blacks in a society. And then these white folks, they come along who don't know anything, who are privileged, who had the chance to go to university, and they come along, hear our story, hear our struggle, and then they say, yeah, well, they have to straighten them out a little bit so that other white people may understand them. I mean, I stood there, I talked plain English, clean English, like we have learned in school. But apparently I was speaking a different language for other white people, and they had to translate it. This is what they said to us, and they said it in a snicker, in an arrogance, that they have to translate them to other white folks, and this would be their task. Now they have listened to us. They now will help other white folks to understand them. I never quite understood that. Can't other white folks listen to me? Why do we need white interpretation? I had it off with these people. I was furious, but I kept it together. I looked around in this college and I said to myself, well, this is how far you will ever come in your life. I mean, I had to clear my head, and I went to the vending machine. I wanted to get myself anything to boost my emotions, to clear my head. I decided for coffee, and there I met Ellie. She smiled at me. The moment I saw her, I thought about her, another stupid white college girl. You know why white girls smile at black men? Not because they like him, not because they have compassion for them, no, because they think that this black man is a drug dealer, and if they smile at him or treat him nicely, that they would get a bargain on their drugs, so that there would be a special price for stupid, shallow white girls. I didn't look at her. She just smiled, a stupid smile. She appeared to me stupid. I couldn't be it on that day anymore. I had seen and heard a lot of bullshit, so I ignored her, and she was mad about it. I mean, I don't know. I never quite figured out why she wanted to be friends with me, why she wanted to talk to me, but I ignored her. She was insulted. She just said hi. I did not respond. I drank my coffee and hoped that maybe she would move along. Maybe she would understand that I'm not a drug dealer and I'm not a hustler. I don't have any drugs. I stood away from drugs my entire life. I've seen worse. I've seen the nasty side of the drug business, and I've seen what drugs does to our people. No, I never wanted to be one of those black fellas, one of those black victims of this society. I never wanted to give these people the pleasure that they have gotten us, that they have destroyed us. So I ignored her. But she was persistent. She stood there. She stood opposite of me, looked at me again. She was beautiful. The moment I saw her, I immediately noticed she's special. She has this special kind of aura, this warmth in her eyes. But again, I've ever known. I was not a dreamer. I've ever known that I'm black. So, and I knew that I don't want to fool myself, because you know what they say about white girls who want to go for a black man. They either need a toy boy or they have a low self-esteem and they need a man to control, or think that race alone would be sufficient, that they can subjugate a man, that a man from a different race would be easier to subjugate. And these are the girls who then come along and say, yeah, well, black men, they are different. So I don't want it to be the pet of a white privileged college girl. Again, I ignored her. I didn't want to be around her. I headed off, and on that day I had decided that I don't want to ever come in this college again. I felt humiliated, and now there she was, Ellie, stood in front of me, smiled at me stupidly, and I felt a rage. But more and more my rage waned. I saw her. I saw that this girl, this beautiful girl, somehow is attracted to me. Well, I don't know why. She didn't know me. I didn't talk much. I drank my coffee and left. Even though I had promised that I would never ever attend this college again, attend one of these stupid workshops, yet I went there. I went there to meet her. Somehow I was curious. It happens not quite often that you meet white girls who are genuinely interested in you, even though it's crap and bullshit. Well, I grew up in the hoods. White folks avoid by any means necessary the hoods, like we would be all sick, like we would be all suffering from a disease. So it was, in a way, pleasure to be, or imagine how a society would be where we could just walk normal among white folks, where there would not be a separation of spheres in a society. No one knows about these things. There are only those who live in the hoods, and only those who live in these areas and think about it. They realize that something is wrong, that people shouldn't be living in separate spaces, but that we should be all mingling and intermingling. So I went there and I met her. I was not disappointed. I met her. She was the sole reason why I went there, why I endured this stupid workshop which did nothing but flatter white privileged college students. And we get to know each other. We talked. Ellie was not one of these girls who was looking for a black toy boy. She treated me equally. She did not patronize me. She did not show me to her friends like, look here, I have a black boyfriend. I, as a white girl, have black friends. You know what? You know why many leftist white privileged college students have black friends for? Why they hang out with black friends? Not because they want to socialize, no, because they want to show the world and themselves that they are different from other white folks, that they are not like them, that they would reach out for blacks, that they would not be racist. And of course, they need always blacks to approve their lifestyle, approve and show the world that this white dude there, this white man there, he's not a racist. He's not one of those other white people who have nothing but contempt for blacks. And they need us. This is what they ask us for, to be another mark on their degrees, so that they can lie in the society's sun, or see themselves in a new light in the face of society. We know, of course, these are not real friendships. We know, of course, they only serve one purpose. Yet, what can you do? You still hope that you will get some advantages of it, that you will be dragged along. There is no other alternative for us. Life is tough. But Ellie didn't do something like that. We said to ourselves that we want to keep it secret at the first. Well, I know what it is, or how it is to date a white girl as a black man. I know a story from a guy who dated a white girl, and he got threats all over. People wanted to lynch him. White man saw him an enemy, and he was even fired from his job, even though he didn't do anything wrong. His white superior said about him that he would be a drug dealer, and that he found drugs in his locker, despite the man was not a drug addict or anything. He had been working there for more than 10 years. And he always thought that these people with whom he had been working for more than 10 years, that they were actually his friends. But then, when he started to date a white girl, those white friends, they did not know him anymore. They didn't want to be around him anymore. He wasn't the one they had thought he was. He didn't keep his boundary. So I know very well where this all ends. That's why I insisted on keeping it secret. I didn't want it to be another target. I'm doing odd jobs. I'm struggling to make ends meet. I don't have time for this crap and bullshit. This is what society is. I cannot change it. No one probably will ever can. No, what we can do is talk about it. I'm thoughtful. I'm listening to this. So then it would make sense why Dwayne Brightly has a prepaid phone. But one thing is auto, because even though Dwayne tells me that he and Ellie wanted to keep it a secret, and probably that he didn't want anyone to know about it, that he feared repercussions because he is a black man. Ellie probably felt quite uncomfortable with this relationship. She wore designer clothes. She wanted to get attention, as if she wanted to embellish herself. This maybe could be because Dwayne was black, and Ellie came from a family, from a rural community with almost no blacks. And in this rural community, whites and blacks, they live not with each other, but rather next to each other. Everyone has his separate sphere. The same goes for the city. Blacks and whites live in separate areas. The wealthy are separated from the poor, and this leads to knowledge as well as perception of otherness, and so on. So Ellie did not have a lot of social contacts with blacks, and she was an upstart. She succeeded in her family. She was one of the first who attended college and even graduated. And this probably not only gave her confidence, but as well as the belief that no matter what you set your mind to, you can accomplish it. It is all about your will. And she probably tried to emulate these accomplishments in her love life, because more or less people assume that love, or the race for love, is nothing but some sort of a competition you have against others, against other mates. Men especially think that way, that you as a man have to show society how successful you are, and you can show it by having an attractive girlfriend. But women are the same. Doing my work as a private investigator, where I investigate into infidelities, I always noticed one thing, and this is that there is a lot of competition going on, not only within a relationship, but as well as outside a relationship. Every man, or at least a lot of men, think of other men as another challenger, as someone they have to compete against. And women are the same. Women compare themselves a lot to other women, even to superstars. And they measure their attractiveness not only how they feel themselves or how they perceive themselves. No, they measure their attractiveness and their appeal according to how they are being perceived by others, how they can draw attention by others. So competition, even in love, even in the sphere of joy, life joy, one might assume be because the love industry insists on that love would be all different and that we would find our soulmate with different means, or that we would even need a sixth sense to detect our soulmate. In the end, it all comes down to competition, and we measure success in terms of a game. If you win a prize, because you won a game, a big game, let's say you won at football, or you won a beauty pageant, then your prize must be something extraordinary, something out of the ordinary, something that is rare, and therefore that is remarkable. And what is rare? What is remarkable? And this is beauty. Beauty, or something that has been considered valuable in a society, like gold or every diamond, whatever you have. These things are both rare and valuable in a society. So this means that every man and woman will measure their success through this prize they get, because this prize, this accomplishment does not only show that they have achieved something, no, it is as well as an indication that someone is valuable, is being considered a value. It is a statement about oneself. And this means that a man who has an attractive woman, as well as a woman who has an attractive and successful man next to her, to him, has or makes as well a statement about herself. It is never only about one's spouse, it is always about oneself as well. And apparently Ellie struggled with that, because Dwayne was not a college attendee. He did not graduate or even attended college. So this must have been a hard blow. And Ellie, for all her wits, she was smart. There are a lot of indication. Probably was underdeveloped when it came to emotions. Her emotional development was not as far as her intellectual development. Well, this is very common among smart people, because smart people, they mostly live in books, or they dedicate their lives fully and completely to science. So they omit their emotional development, and these emotional developments are nourished by social interactions, by social experiences. We gather and grow emotionally. And this gives us, if you want, a second understanding of the world, not only an intellectual understanding of the world, but as well as an emotional understanding, an emotional intelligence. And there are people who miss this emotional intelligence, who have not developed emotionally. And Ellie probably was one of these emotionally underdeveloped individuals who probably struggled with admitting that she probably felt special for Dwayne, but on the other hand was struggling in her social class to admit to others that she had a boyfriend who was firstly black, and secondly who did not attend college like her, so she could not attract this successful white man, white because this is some sort of the standard in a society, successful, or those successful college graduates who then accomplish something in a society that favors whiteness. They are mostly white male from the middle class. So Ellie struggled with it. That's why she did not tell Brienne. That's why she did not tell Brienne about Dwayne. She felt uncomfortable. And she may have decided in the end that she wanted to be with Dwayne. Maybe this was the reason why she moved out of her parents' home, or didn't want to live in her mother's home, Sherry, above the diner. He had a reason so that she could be with Dwayne. I asked Dwayne, the day Ellie was killed, where was she heading? Dwayne tells me that he and Ellie had talked a couple of hours before. They had been quarreling. Dwayne more and more figured out that Ellie didn't want to tell her family. Their relationship had gotten serious. They had thought about moving in together, living together. But Ellie was reluctant to tell her family. Dwayne tells me she told him that her family would not understand. Dwayne talked about love, said that he loves her and that it is not easy for him either. He cannot walk around with a white girl in a hood. His friends, the very people with whom he grew up with, they would see him as a traitor. They laughed about black. They laughed about white folks. They laughed about these white devils and derided and chided them. They looked down at them. They were proud of black women, and they talked about a great deal about how beautiful, how down to earth black women are. And then now one of them, the son of these hoods, now appears with a white girl on his hand, a privileged white girl, no matter whether her mother just owns a diner. For them, she's privileged. Dwayne told her it wouldn't be easy for him, but he didn't want it to be secretive anymore. He didn't want to play anymore. So he insisted that they show themselves publicly. Ellie was hesitant. Her life had started new. She had recently graduated from college. It is indeed understandable that Ellie wanted to wait, because life now started new for her. Back then started new for her. So she was hesitant. And Dwayne tells me that at the night she was killed, and he sobs, and he's sniveling, and he has tears in his eyes. They had made up. They wanted to meet, talk about it. It would be all possible. They wanted to out themselves as an interracial couple, no matter what people said. Ellie wanted to introduce Dwayne to Sherry, her mother, as well as her twin sister. And she was on her way to him. And this was the last thing he heard about. He heard about Ellie. I'm thoughtful. So Dwayne has had no motive killing Ellie. He loved her, and they had made up. And there is obvious evidence that they wanted to meet. Ellie was looking forward to this meeting, and we checked the phone records. Dwayne tells the truth. So, who killed Ellie Fauner and why? Why was she killed? I ask Dwayne the question, why does he think was Ellie killed? He tells me not many people knew about their relationship. But if they knew that, then it could be a hate crime. Someone thought about it. Someone knew about her committing racial impunity, acting against racial hygiene. There are some degenerates who would go through great means to take the life of someone whom they assume commits a crime in loving someone from another race. So, or it could be still robbery. Tells me Dwayne. It could be. But who would have been socially indisposed by Ellie's relationship? Who would have lost socially if Ellie and Dwayne would have outed themselves as interracial couple? I'm thoughtful. And I think about other possibilities. Maybe it was indeed robbery, because it's not likely that someone would go through it. Because you have to ask yourself why. You have to ask yourself what is the motivation, even though there might be someone, or might be a white woman who has a black boyfriend. But in order to move forward and kill a white woman because she has a black boyfriend, you need, or the killer need to have a lot of rage in himself, a lot of hatred in himself, hatred which does not occur in the wake of the moment, but has to have been built up over the years, sometimes even decades, and then in one moment it all comes out. So there has to be a strong emotion detached to it, because normally, even though a racist who may not approve that a white woman has a relationship with a black man, he will probably make some racial slurs and move along his way. But to stop and attack someone, there is always hard emotions involved in this, a heavy investment, and these things are different, and these things have to be looked into quite differently, because they tell about the life and about the background of the killer.